What's good, YouTube? In this video, we'll be having our pair selection and weekly analysis. We'll be starting with the DXY, right? So without much talking, let's dive in. Okay, this is the DXY, right? Sorry for that. The DXY, we can see we have a high, we have a low, we have this break of structure. Within this price leg, we have our fair value gap here, our second fair value gap. But this fair value gap, they are breakaway gaps, right? Because price has expanded without tapping into them, right? So because this is a breakaway gap, that does not mean that price is not going to trade into it. It just means that price is not immediately going to mitigate it, but in future price is going to come back and do that. So we already know that this is a breakaway gap, so let's continue. So we have this swing high and swing low. Price took out this low and closed below it, so that's the break of structure. We know that price is bearish, dollar is bearish, right? We have breakaway gaps supporting price. When we tap into these price levels, we'll expect bearish movement. So let's go to the weekly time frame and see what price is doing. So you can see on the weekly time frame, when price dropped to this low, price took out this swing point here and created a fair value gap. If we are going to continue lower, price should respect this fair value gap here to trade lower, but price disrespected the fair value gap with these two candles and created an opposing fair value gap that price traded into and moved to the upside. Instead of price continue moving up, we started seeing some kind of retracement into the same fair value gap and tested it multiple times. When price does this, we expect that the fair value gap is now less probability to hold price to the upside. It does not mean that price is not going to go to the upside. It just means that the probability is now low, because if we want to respect the fair value gap, price should test it once and go to the other side. But price did that, and now we are back again into the same fair value gap. So if you look at this consolidation on the weekly time frame, what do you think that the lower time frame, the 1 hour, the 4 hour, and the daily is going to look like? Of course, messy, because the weekly is not looking nice. So this is the reason why I've not been trading dollar pairs for the last month, right? If I want to trade the dollar pairs, what I would like price to do is to give me a weekly impulsive movement to the upside or to the downside to continue with the price action. But for now, I'm not going to trade dollar because of this kind of price action. All the dollar pairs, I'm not going to trade. Less gold and silver, because gold and silver, they are more stronger than the dollar, so they tend to pull the dollar along with them, right? So this is my analysis for the dollar. For the dollar is a no. I'm not going to trade dollar for this week unless I see a kind of movement up or down, right? So this is analysis for the dollar. The dollar is a no trading asset for me. So let's move on to the next pair, which is gold. If you have been trading gold for this week, you will realize that gold has been impulsive. I talked about this consolidation in one of my videos, and you can see that price has broken that consolidation range and we are trading up, right? On the weekly time frame, we can see that before breaking this high, price made a low here, right? We also have this low and this fair value gap. So price is kind of creating an order flow leg, right? But the order flow leg is going to be completed when we have a weekly swing point before price comes down, right? So the order flow on the weekly time frame is not yet completed. So we'll wait for that to complete. But before it completes, you can go to the daily time frame to look for price legs that you can trade. And one of these price legs is this daily fair value gap. You can see a sting into it and price is reacting to the upside. So within this price level, you can just trade from this low to the next high is going to create. And you can see when you go to the lower time frame on this candle, you can look for maybe fair value gaps that you can use as entry point to trade to the upside, right? So the gold is bullish. If the gold is bullish, the silver is also bullish, right? So, but we'll look at the silver in a bit. You can see the 4 hour, we already have a fair value gap that you can use as potential entry to the upside. We also have this fair value gap on the hourly that you can use as entry points to the upside, right? So gold is bullish and you should be looking for bullish setups, right? So let's look at the silver. So the silver is also bullish. Apply the same idea from gold to silver. You can see that fair value gap also. You can look for daily fair value gaps and 4-hour fair value gaps to use as your entry setup to trade to the upside, right? So the silver, the gold, they are similar. They are very, very bullish. So we should be trading along with the trend. So the next pair we'll be looking at is GBP card. GBP card is also bullish. The GBP has been bullish for some time now. As you all know, the monthly, there is no much price action going on in the monthly time frame. That is why I am on the weekly time frame. And on the weekly time frame, you can see that we have been bearish for some time. And after we took out this low, price moved to the upside, creating this weekly fair value gap. And you can see that price has mitigated the weekly fair value gap and we are trading higher. So if we are trading higher, we know that the next weekly candle should be a bullish candle if we are going to trade to this buy side liquidity. So because we are bullish, we should be looking for what? Buying opportunities on GBP card. So because we are bullish on the weekly, we should be dropping down to the 4-hour time frame, which is the correct time frame alignment for the weekly time frame. So let's go to the 4-hour time frame. On the 4-hour time frame, you can see this is the level that we tapped into the fair value gap, the price action, right? So we had this fair value gap, but as you can see, it is now a breakaway gap because price has failed to drop into it. And we also created this fair value gap. And you can see this current candle is reversing or retracing into this fair value gap. I expect this fair value gap to hold price to target this buy side liquidity, right? If I want to trade, this can be just a simple setup, something like this. Almost 1 to 3, right? You can do something like this and wait for price to just tap and go, or tap and hit stop loss. Right? You can either be respect the fair value gap and hit TP, or disrespect the fair value gap and hit stop loss. Either way, right? So GC, we are bullish on GC, so we should be expecting bullish price actions on GC, right? So let's go to the next pair, which is Euro AUD. Euro AUD. The monthly time frame is not looking nice, so let's use the weekly time frame. The weekly time frame, okay. So I'm going to use the most recent price leg, which is this swing low to this swing high, right? We'll have a retracement into it, and this week we took out this swing low on the weekly time frame, right? After we swept that low, price is reversing to the upside. So we can go down to the daily time frame to look at price. So this is the daily time frame. After we took out this swing low, you can see that price is creating a swing point here. If we create this swing point, that means price is going to trade to the upside. It has a higher probability of trading to the upside. Not that price cannot trade to the downside. It can, but it is low probability compared to price trading to the upside. And we also have what? A fair value gap, a bearish fair value gap here that can serve as our draw on liquidity that price can target from this swing low to this fair value gap, right? So we can use this frame setup here to target this fair value gap. And if we want to frame setup here, we should be using the 1 hour time frame to frame the setup, right? So let's go to the 1 hour time frame and see what price looks like. So on the 1 hour time frame, you can see this is the point that we swept the previous day to create the second candle of that daily swing point. This is the candle here. We swept this low and we moved to the upside, and we had another retracement, and we had another liquidity sweep here, right? Creating this CSID and a fair value gap. Because price has the intention of moving to this fair value gap, we should be looking out for 1 hour impulse shift, 1 hour fair value gap that price can use, or price will use as support to draw into this daily fair value gap. And we have this fair value gap here. Price is already into it. All we need to do is to wait for reaction and rejection for price to tell us that we are ready to move up, right? Then we can look for trade setup here, and we'll target this daily fair value gap on Euro AUD, right? So let's look at the next pair. The next pair we'll be looking at is BTC. So BTC, I am bullish. Let me just go straight to the daily time frame. I will explain why. Okay, for now, let me use the weekly time frame. I will explain why I am bullish. Why I am bullish on the weekly time frame on BTC is because of this fair value gap, this weekly fair value gap. If you look at, we swept this high and price reversed, showing that price is likely to continue to the downside, right? Because we have a monthly fair value gap somewhere here. If you go to the monthly time frame, let me just go there and show you. Look at it. We have a monthly fair value gap, but this is a breakaway gap for me. So I'll just concentrate on this current weekly fair value gap as my target. I already have a trade running on this asset. So because of this weekly fair value gap, I am trading to the upside, right? I have a big setup already running. So let's go to the daily time frame. So we swept this low. This low is previous week low. We swept it and we made an impulse shift on the daily time frame, having a fair value gap here, and price is respecting that fair value gap. You can see that we are moving up, right? We are moving up from this fair value gap. So because we have a daily fair value gap here, we can look at the 1 hour time frame to look for impulse shift on the 1 hour time frame. But the 1 hour time frame is not looking nice. So it is easy for you to get lost in this 1 hour time frame. So let's scale back to the 4 hour time frame. On the 4 hour time frame, things looks a little bit clearer here. You can see that we are coming off of this fair value gap and we return back to it here, right? And price shot up, creating this fair value gap and this fair value gap. Price is back into it, respected it once and disrespected it. But because price is still within the daily fair value gap, you can see the reaction. We are moving back up. So if you want to frame a setup on BTC, use the 4 hour time frame. You can see we have this fair value gap here. We also have this one. So you can use either of these fair value gap to frame a bullish setup to target this high, right? So for me, I am basically bullish on BTC. So let me show you the trade I have on BTC. So this is the trade I have on BTC. You can see the trade has been running for 5 days now. I took this trade on Tuesday, and this is Sunday, right? So the trade has been running for 5 days, and I'm targeting the weekly fair value gap. I'm not just telling you what I didn't do. I'm telling you what I did, and I have a trade running on that. So I'm bullish on BTC because of the daily fair value gap I have, supporting price to the upside, right? So that is it for BTC. Let's check NZD-JPY. NZD-JPY will have this swing point and this swing. This is the current dealing range or price leg that we are dealing with. In this price leg, we have a fair value gap, which makes it an order flow leg. So because it's a bearish fair value gap, we expect price to mitigate this fair value gap and target this swing low. And we can see that we are currently having rejection. Price is finding it difficult to trade above the consequent encroachment of the weekly fair value gap. So we should be expecting price to drop lower or trade up. the two scenarios we were expecting, either price break above or break below. We'll continue to monitor price action on NJ to see potential bearish setup, right? So because we are on the weekly and price is finding it difficult to trade above the consequent encroachment of the fair value gap, we are going to jump into our 4-hour time frame to look for impulse shifts. So currently on our 4-hour time frame, the price action is not really looking nice. There is no fair value gap to the downside. There is no fair value gap to the upside. We'll continue to wait for bearish what? Fair value gap that price can trade into and drop lower. So you already know that we are bearish on NJ, New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. So this is the analysis for this week. Tell me the analysis you have in the comment section, or leave a question in the comment section. I will be there to answer you. Thank you and see you next week.